Good morning, y'all. It's Cody. Cody's Bait and Tackle, Warsaw, Missouri. I'm going to give a little bit of a fishing report. Going to talk a little bit about Hope Outdoors. Just got a couple of things I'm going to go over. As far as on the fishing report, let's start off. I'll try to do a little bit better this time. I should have a little bit more time this morning. As far as walleye, I have not heard a whole lot positive on them this week. I know there's been a few caught here and a few caught there, several caught trolling. Most of them I've been hearing of have been coming off night crawlers and bottom bouncers, still kind of in that shallower water on the flats. Haven't heard much about O3 at all. I have not heard of any walleye at all coming off there. Most of them I've heard of have just been scattered out random on some flats or KK Island. Trolling crankbaits or bottom bouncers on there. I have heard of a few over by the airport, over here by the Mile Long Bridge. That's pretty well all I've heard of on walleye. Not nothing crazy this last couple weeks on that. It was on fire a month ago, but it's slowed way down now. As far as white bass, they are extremely sporadic. So one day I will catch a whole bunch, next day I won't catch any. Might not even see any for 2 or 3 days on the graph. Some of the coves, some of the bigger pockets, I've noticed kind of on the points, starting to see some busting. You'll see them bust a day or two, and then won't see them for a while, and then you'll see them again. They're just kind of roaming, I think. The ones that I'm seeing busting are the smaller white bass for the most part. Yesterday I was catching bait up by the dam. We had a Hope Outdoors event yesterday. That's what I'm going to talk about a little bit here towards the end of this video. I was trying to catch bait for that, and the white bass in the Swim Beach Cove right there at Shawnee Bend, they was busting absolutely all over. You could have caught them off the bank. Most of them looked small. A lot of them was coming all the way up out of the water chasing this year's shad hatch. So you could have walked down on that point and knocked the heck out of them yesterday morning, which that's typically a fall thing, seeing them up on that point, but they was on there yesterday really good. And last night I seen a boat on there actually right up by the bank, so I would say they busted again there last night. When they run water of an evening, there's been a lot of white bass up on the weir. Haven't heard of hardly any hybrids up there, but quite a few white bass. I've heard of a few creeks having some white bass busting in them. Nothing that's staying consistent, though, other than the weir every evening when they run water. The lake's still almost 707, 7065 or something like that this morning when I looked. So we still got probably a week or so of that running water. Cool weather right now. Starting Wednesday, it's supposed to be back up in the 90s, 100 heat index. I don't know. That usually when the water's running pretty consistent on a schedule and it stays hot outside, then fish kind of get on a consistent pattern. But I haven't seen it yet this year, except for on the crappie. They're staying really consistent. As far as the hybrids, they are probably the most sporadic I've ever seen them. I can find them every day. I can find fish all over the lake. To catch them, you just got to be on the fish when they decide they're going to bite. If you're not, there you got really short windows when they decide they're going to feed. And if you're not there, you're not going to catch them. I mean, it's not even just find them and catch one or two out of school. It's catch none. Had several days this week. We had a bug hatch on the water, which some of you guys have heard me talk about that before. Some of y'all got to fish it with me before. To me, that's the funnest catfishing there is. And a lot of the time when they're like that, them hybrids will be up on top with the catfish too, and this week I didn't see that too much. Yesterday I did find some hybrids up close to the surface when I had Hope Outdoors out, and I'll talk about that here in a little bit. That was really the first day this week that I seen that and they was actually feeding. Had a few other days, like Monday, we found some that come up, and they was up cruising with the catfish, and we caught some Monday. But uh, for the most part, the hybrids are sporadic. All the fish I caught this week was on live bait. I didn't catch any hybrids at all on artificials. Uh, I heard of a few caught on swim baits of an evening, but it was very few. It wasn't nothing crazy. Uh, as far as the crappie, a lot of you guys seen that Hope Outdoors event yesterday. Out of 4 guides, we had over 200 crappie in just a couple hours. I'm pretty sure all 4 boats, I know for sure 3 of us was trolling crankbaits. I think all 4 of us was. It didn't matter what crankbaits either. We pretty well all ran different crankbaits. I think I had a headhunter on, a couple picos on, bandit, and a couple arkies on, and they all caught the same fish. It didn't matter what color. They got 8. I mean, I had orange, green, pink. I had a chartreuse with a blue back that caught a lot of fish. It just did not matter on that. So, main lake crappie, I've not heard much on the upper ends of Truman on crappie. I know there's going to be some to be caught, but I have not heard anything real positive up there. Mid-lake down is where most of the people are crappie fishing. The brush piles in 10 to 20 foot of water is kind of, if you're going to minnow fish or jig fish, that's kind of what you want to be looking at. There's a ton of crappie roaming on them flats. I watched some people yesterday live scoping them crappie off the flats that was just roaming. They was catching some. They wasn't even close to keeping up with me trolling. Hour and a half, I had 60 crappie in the boat. Less than an hour and a half, I had 60 crappie in the boat. Running 6 rods. It was all we could do to keep up with 6 rods. A lot of the time, we had to hit 5 or 6 fish at a time, and maybe get in 3 or 4 of them. So, about had to pull out a couple rods. But I had some bait in the bait tank and wanted to see if I couldn't get a few catfish caught or hybrids caught before the Hope Outdoors event was over, and we managed to get that done too. So, we only fished from like 7 to 11. It was just a couple hours there that we fished yesterday. As far as on the catfish, crappie, so back to the crappie. I have not heard hardly anything on crappie down below the dam here. I'm gonna backtrack now. As far as white bass and hybrids down below the dam, there has been a lot of hybrids caught this last week below Truman Dam, last week and a half. Early morning, late evening, top water, throwing spoons, up by the fence, both sides, hasn't seemed to matter. They're real sporadic, just like on the lake. But if you sit down there, sounds like they will end up showing up. I haven't been down there to see it, but I've been selling a lot of top waters in the shop, so them guys are all catching them. They said you got to be able to throw way out most of the time. They're hitting way out, but they are there. So, as far as catfish down below the dam, I've talked to a lot of people that's been catfishing this last week or so. Just a few eaters, nothing crazy. A few slot fish down there. Nothing real good. There's a good drift bite further down on Lake Ozarks once you get into the big mud flats. That drift bite's real good down there. Same way with Truman. Earlier in the week when it was real hot before this cold front hit, shallow water. Like 4 to 15 foot of water was kind of where that drift bite was. They pushed a little bit deeper with this cold front. It's supposed to warm back up this week. They will probably go back shallow. Hopefully we get a bug hatch again and I can get back on some catfish. Catching them on the surface, running light action rods like I did this week. I think Monday, we caught over 80 fish Monday. Had over 60 Tuesday, Wednesday. I think we caught, wait a minute. I might have lost a day there, but one day we had like 45 in just a couple of hours. All you could do to keep up with 3 or 4 or 5 rods. Depending on how many people was in the boat, I tried to run a rod a person, or maybe two, and you couldn't keep up with it half the time. Several times I was trying to dip net 3 or 4 or 5 catfish at the same time. All of them fish was coming off the surface. No weight, free floating baits. Just find them right up on top and set up on them, and you find where that bug hatch is, and they was in it. Some kind of little gnat. I don't know what they are, but they was all over the surface. Anytime I can find that or find a mayfly hatch, I can absolutely slaughter the catfish on the surface. It is a lot of fun. Usually catch a few hybrids mixed in. Monday we had a lot of hybrids mixed in with them Monday. Tuesday, I think we only caught 4 hybrids mixed in with them. Wednesday and Thursday, we never caught a hybrid, but we was catching so many catfish, we kind of stuck with them. Friday, I went after catfish, cold front hit, went after catfish, hybrids turned on. We caught hybrids Friday morning, pretty steady. We caught 8 pretty quick, and then mostly channel cat after that, few blue cat, lots of channel cat in areas. If you find some of the places that's got the great big schools of hybrids right now, there's so many channel cat underneath them, it's crazy. And I even caught the channel cat on swim baits. You get down through the hybrids, if the hybrids won't hit, a lot of the time a channel cat would hit them. And you'd feel just a lot of little bitty ticks, and it was them channel cat nibbling at the tail on that swim bait. But as far as actual catfishing, drift fishing that shallow water this week when it warms back up, I'm sure they'll all go back shallow. Yesterday, well, the last 2 days, kind of been in that 15 to 25 foot range is kind of where most of the blue cat have been. Channel cat, they're just wherever. They are all over the place right now. Have not really heard any flathead being caught. Had a group of guys that was running trot lines yesterday, or jugs. They said they caught 2, said there wasn't no size to them, or nothing crazy, but they was running live bluegill on them. That's about all I've got on the fishing report. Crappie, catfish, walleye. I have not heard anything at all on largemouth or bass. I do get asked that a lot. Have not heard anything. Haven't had any bass guys in the shop this week. I don't think there was any big tournaments this weekend, so I didn't have any of them guys to talk to. As far as jig color on the crappie, anything natural colored, silvers, grays, whites, something with some glitter in it that looks like the scales off them little shad right now. That's kind of been what everybody's been buying jig color wise. The water's real clear around the lake. I did, on my live bait, I did drop down a little bit in line size. We broke a few big fish off this week because of it. I had a couple rods I was only running 10-pound fluorocarbon on. We hooked one great big blue cat. We tried to chase it down with the trolling motor, and it started shaking its head a bunch and chomped through the line or whatever. It just wasn't going to stick around. Couldn't get it up with the rod we had it hooked on. And I don't know, we had caught so many catfish on the rod, it could have had a nick in the line. No telling what went wrong there. But broke off a couple more slot fish. We caught a ton of slot fish this week. There was a couple of days we caught over 20 slot fish and a couple overs. A lot of good fish out there right now. On to Hope Outdoors. I want to talk about that a little bit. A lot of y'all watch my Facebook posts. Know I try to work with them all I can. Taking them kids out, that's probably the funnest trips I get to run. So they're no pressure trips. They're just go have fun, show the kids a good time. Yesterday there were several of us guides that got together, took out 4 or 5 different families. They had a lot of fun. All the kids got to catch fish. I'm going to mention Randy Thornton. He is the one that puts all this stuff together. If anybody wants to donate to Hope Outdoors or help out, Randy Thornton is the one that runs our chapter here. I'm not going to put his contact information or nothing on there, but if you get a hold of me, I can get you in touch with him, or you can look him up on Facebook and send him a message. Or just look at my Facebook, and he's tagged in a lot of the Hope Outdoors posts, or he's tagged me in posts, so you'll see it on there. Really good organization. A lot of different illnesses some of these kids have. Some of them, are terminal cancer, whatever. Some of them, just whether it's cancer, Down syndrome, all different kinds of stuff. They probably get more out of these trips than anybody we take out. And even some of the families that you take, I've got a few that I take almost every year. Every time they have a blast. They have fun. Just a great deal. They do a lot of hunting too. Even if you guys just want to watch and keep up with everything they do, find the Central Missouri Chapter Hope Outdoors page or Randy Thornton's page and follow them. And you can see all the different hunts they do during the fall, winter. Most of their fishing is from like April to September. I think this winter I'm going to try to get a few families out, maybe if they can handle the cold. I talked to Randy about that, and usually I take the helpers out during the winter, but I think this year I'm going to try to get a few more families a little bit later into the fall out. So we'll see what happens there. I don't know what the situation is on Randy, how much land he's got to hunt or anything. I know he's got a great group of helpers that help guide these kids. They get a ton of kids on these hunts. And I am sure Central Missouri, if you got land with a lot of does or a lot of deer on it that you want thinned out, you could probably get a hold of Randy and he could get some of these kids on some of these deer. I know there's a lot of farmers that would like their deer thinned out and stuff like that. Randy would probably appreciate a few more places to hunt. I should have done a video with him yesterday after the event, and I didn't even think about it. So I might try to get together with him here before too long and try to get some kind of video going on that. But that's about all I've got for you guys. That's all I can think of. Y'all got any more questions, you can just message me or whatever. I can get you in touch with Randy, or if you got questions on anything else, I'll try to cover it in my next video. I'm not real good at looking back on my YouTube and answering questions on here, but I'm on the go constantly. So a lot of the time I don't get checked back, but if I read that comment, I'll try to mention it in my next video. So I appreciate it, you guys. Have a good one and enjoy this cool weather before it gets hot again. Thank y'all.